What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to break it down on what is really happening today, whether this is a overreaction, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off right now, SoundHound is pulling back a little bit with the broader market. So it is down 2.06%. There really hasn't been that much in macro data. So we did have pending home sales, both month over month and year over year came in better than the forecast. So of course, that's kind of a good thing. Dallas Fed manufacturing also just came out roughly around 5 minutes ago, came in at negative 10.9, forecast of negative 2.5. So that one data point wasn't all that great, but I'm sure the market could kind of spin that narrative to be a positive just to justify a kind of a rate cut down the line. Right now, we're sitting at a 18.8% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut for the upcoming January 28th meeting. But today, there really hasn't been that much in news associated to SoundHound. So what is really moving the broader market? So you can kind of see just S&P slowly dipping. Gold is down 4.3%. You have silver down 10.04%. And then oil up 2.56. A lot of that has to do with just general uncertainty because of Iran. So over the weekend, we had Iran kind of hinting that there's still some vendetta against the states, which is rather interesting and kind of outdated if you think about it. But the market's reacting to this. And so a lot of big mainstream media is kind of spinning this narrative to signal that there's a war coming and various things like that. So in my opinion, yes, this does add a certain level of uncertainty. Yes, the market is highly elevated pretty much in the last also week in 2025. So usually that causes a lot of volatility in among itself. So all of that combined together is causing the market just to kind of take profits for the most part. So in reality, if you have a long-term mentality, I think this is a good opportunity to buy. But aside from that though, shorts, let's break it down. So shorts currently are increasing 363,000 shares, 31.34% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 118.72 million shares overall being shorted. So shorts are starting to take advantage of kind of the broader fear and add a certain level of suppression. Plus, you actually look at the price action. SoundHound did have a very nice recovery to 10.79 first thing. And that's where short started to really kind of hit it hard to try its best to suppress it. And it largely did work, but we're seeing, again, like I said, lower volume. So 5.3 million shares being traded so far within the first about hour of the trading day. Aside from that, though, looking at the options, 583,000 in calls, 392,000 in puts, and then 48% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. Again, I think some of that could be linked to just hedging based on just the macro conditions. Right now, from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 11 to 1150. So a nice recovery is anticipated. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub kind of between that 10 to 1050. So where it is right now, it did break below a key level. And for those of you that have been watching my channel, when it was at, I think it was around $12, I signaled that 1050 is realistically where all the signals and the data points are kind of pointing to for it to head next. If that fails to hold, more specifically that 1055, then you can kind of anticipate 950 to be hit. So in general for today, if you're going to see a recovery, it has to close above 1055. If it closes below there, then anticipate 950. And most likely that is where I'll be a buyer next. Of course, from the fib levels, you have 878 being the next strong support, but in the past, we have that 950 level, and I think a lot of that is actually linked to options. So at the 950, we have a lot of kind of activity there. So I think in general, it could be potentially bouncing off of that 950 next. And again, I feel like that is a good opportunity of good risk versus reward. So right now, I think just it's at the mercy of the broader market. And I've signaled this in the past because SoundHound regrettably hasn't really put out that much news. So last news did come out on December the 10th. And it was okay news, nothing substantial in my opinion. So I think everyone and their dog is just waiting for their earnings, and that hasn't been announced. Estimated date is going to be, looks like February 27th. after hours. And this is some of the current estimates. So -2 cents for the earnings per share, 54.93 million for the revenue. Then over the last 90 days, you have 1 positive and 5 negative revisions to the earnings per share. Aside from that though, on the actual chart, it's not looking too great. The only positive to actually see is the stochastic car SOUN being very oversold. Other than that, it's below all the key pivotal moving averages that generally I like to look at. So both the 10, 50, 100, and 200-day moving averages. So it's not looking too great, unfortunately. Even looking at the market position, you don't see that much in willing buyers at all. So like I said, I think it is fair to assume that you could be seeing some kind of further consolidation. There really hasn't been that much in kind of articles. I think that hopefully a bullish thing that could happen is Jim Cramer just outright saying that he hates SoundHound and it's going to zero. I think that might be kind of inversely a good positive potentially for SoundHound. Oddly enough, Jim Cramer likes to bring up SoundHound quite a lot. But then again, I think that's just a lot of people as well bring that up as him giving recommendations on. But aside from that though, SoundHound's just been at the mercy of the broader market. So even all of this price action when it was starting to really move higher and all of this, largely just piggybacking off of the broader market through algorithmic trading. And you can kind of see that right here, very, very visible. A lot of these smaller transactions, that is just algorithmic trading kind of back and forth. So at the end of the day, just watch for that 1055 for it to get over. If not, then you can kind of anticipate 950, potentially that $8 range being next. But I feel at 950, that's where I'll start to kind of sell more puts and just buy in general, because I think at that price point, there'd be a pretty good risk versus reward. So let me know your general thoughts on SoundHound. Are you buying? Do you think today's sell-off is justified? Or what's your kind of general thoughts on all that? One final thing, if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, pop over to my Stacked account. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. I even do have a promotion from now up until the end of the year where it is $1.50 per month. And if you get in, it will never increase whatsoever. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. Only up until the end of the year. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.